My name is Lara, and I have lived my entire life surrounded by the land my parents worked so hard to cultivate. Farming is not just a job for me, it is a way of life. My father taught me how to till the soil, plant seeds, and care for the crops as if they were living beings. My mother showed me the importance of patience and dedication, teaching me that a farm, much like life, needs constant attention to grow and flourish. Because of them, I became not only a good farmer but also someone who loves and respects the land. Over the years, my work made me comfortable. I could pay my bills, buy good equipment, and even hire help when the workload became too much. I was proud of my independence, and I never felt lonely on my farm. The green fields, the singing birds, and the fresh air were enough to fill my days with joy. One bright morning, I was in my usual routine, walking among the rows of maize, checking for signs of pests, when I noticed someone standing at the edge of my farm. It was my neighbor, Tunde, a man I had known for several years but never really spent much time with. He waved at me, smiling in a way that made my heart skip a beat. Tunde was handsome, with kind eyes that seemed to see right through you. I always thought he was a quiet, serious man, mostly keeping to himself, but today, something about the way he carried himself made me curious. "Good morning, Lara," he called out as I walked toward him. "I hope I am not disturbing you." "Good morning, Tunde," I replied, trying to keep my tone neutral. "Not at all. What brings you here today?" He shrugged and smiled, brushing his hand through his hair nervously. "I thought I would come and see you. It's such a beautiful morning, and I wanted to spend some time with you." I raised an eyebrow, slightly amused. I had never seen him so open before. "Spend time with me? On my farm?" "Yes," he said, stepping closer. "I've wanted to talk to you for a long time, Lara." There was something in his voice that made my heart beat faster, a sincerity I had never heard from him before. We walked slowly through my farm as he admired the crops, commenting on how well I had maintained everything. I could feel his eyes lingering on me more than on the plants. Finally, we stopped near the small pond at the back of my farm. The sunlight danced on the water, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of fresh earth and growing crops. Tunde looked at me seriously, his smile softening. "Lara," he said, his voice low, "I need to tell you something important. I have kept this inside for far too long. I love you." I froze. I had never expected such a confession, not from Tunde. My mind raced, trying to process his words. He was a good man, hardworking and kind, and he had been my neighbor for years. But love? Could I really imagine myself with him? I don't know what to say, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "Then don't say anything yet," he said gently. "Just know that I feel this way, and I would like a chance to prove myself to you." There was a vulnerability in his eyes that melted my initial hesitation. I felt curious, even excited. Life on the farm was peaceful but lonely in certain ways. Perhaps it was time to let someone in. Over the next few weeks, Tunde visited my farm often. He helped me with the heavy work, carrying sacks of fertilizer, fixing fences, and even joining me in the fields during planting season. We laughed, shared meals, and told stories. I began to see a different side of him, one that was tender, thoughtful, and patient. Slowly, my curiosity grew into affection, and my heart started to open. One evening, after a long day of work under the scorching sun, Tunde and I sat together on the porch, our legs dangling over the edge as we watched the sun slowly sink behind the fields. The sky was painted in shades of gold and pink, and the wind carried the scent of fresh earth and ripening crops. I felt the exhaustion in my muscles, but at that moment, it felt good to rest, to simply be present with someone who had become important to me. Tunde leaned slightly toward me, and without thinking, he reached for my hand. I didn't pull away. Instead, I felt a warmth spread through me, a comfort that I had never allowed myself to feel before. "Lara," he said softly, his voice low and steady, "I know we are just starting, but I feel like I have known you my whole life. I want to be with you not just as a friend, but as someone who loves you every day, in every way I can." My heart skipped a beat. The words were simple, but the sincerity behind them made my chest tighten. I looked at him, seeing the man I had come to know as kind, gentle, and dependable, But now I saw something more, someone who could be my partner in every sense of the word. My voice came out as a whisper, almost afraid that speaking too loudly would shatter the fragile magic of the moment. I think I might feel the same way, I admitted, leaning closer, letting the warmth of his hand flow through mine. From that night, something changed between us. Our relationship blossomed slowly, naturally, like the crops on my farm. We laughed more freely, shared our dreams and fears, and found joy in the simplest moments, walking through the fields, sharing meals under the open sky, or sitting quietly together after a long day. Tunde was respectful and caring, always attentive to my feelings. He never pressured me, never rushed anything. Instead, he let love grow gently, like a seed being nurtured with patience and care. Months passed, filled with laughter, playful teasing, and quiet conversations under the stars. We discovered little things about each other, how Tunde hummed softly while working, how I twirled my hair when I was nervous, the way our hands fit perfectly together. One morning, after a soft drizzle that left the earth smelling of freshness, Tunde kissed me. It was gentle, tender, and slow, a kiss that spoke of trust, longing, and promise all at once. My heart felt like it might burst, and in that moment, I knew I had found someone I could truly love, someone who could be my partner in every part of life. Not long after, I discovered I was pregnant. The news was a mixture of excitement and anxiety. I had always imagined raising a child on my own if necessary, but now the thought of building a family with Tunde filled me with hope. When I told him, the joy in his eyes was immediate and overwhelming. He held me close, cradling my face in his hands, as if I were the most precious thing in the world. "Lara," he said, his voice trembling slightly with emotion, "we are going to be a family. I promise to always be here for you and our child. You will never face this alone." Pregnancy transformed our lives in quiet, beautiful ways. I moved more slowly through the fields, mindful of the tiny life growing inside me. Tunde never let me lift heavy loads. He carried water, tilled the soil, and even learned to plant crops alongside me, just to make sure I had less to worry about. Together, we adjusted our routines, finding joy in the smallest things, preparing meals, decorating the nursery, and talking to our child even before they were born. Every day, our love deepened. It was no longer just an emotion, it had become a part of our lives, woven into the very fabric of our days. When the long-awaited day finally arrived, and our child was born, I held the tiny, fragile life in my arms, marveling at the miracle of it all. The baby's tiny fingers wrapped around mine, and for the first time, I truly understood the meaning of unconditional love. Tunde knelt beside me, his eyes wet with tears, his hands trembling as he touched our child's soft skin. In that moment, we were no longer simply two people in love. We were a family, bound together by trust, devotion, and hope. The first nights were long and exhausting, yet filled with wonder. Tunde would sit by the cradle, humming softly, making me laugh when I felt overwhelmed. We shared the feedings, the lullabies, and the quiet moments when the baby's breath was shallow and delicate. Each day brought new discoveries, the first smile, the first tiny coo, the way our child's eyes seemed to reflect both of us. I realized that life had a way of taking you by surprise, delivering blessings that were far greater than anything you could plan or imagine. And through it all, Tunde remained my anchor. He was patient when I worried, joyful when I celebrated, and steady when life felt unpredictable. I had thought I knew what happiness was before, but now I understood that true happiness comes from shared love, shared responsibility, and shared dreams. My farm had given me independence and purpose, but our child and our family gave me a depth of meaning and fulfillment I had never known. In those quiet moments, when I watched Tunde gently rock our child to sleep, or when I felt the warmth of his hand on my back as we worked together in the fields, I realized something powerful. Love, like the soil beneath our feet, must be nurtured, cared for, and tended with patience. And when it is, it grows into something strong, enduring, and life-changing. That day, when Tunde kissed me, and every day after, I understood that life's most beautiful surprises often come when you least expect them and when you are willing to open your heart fully, without fear. We married shortly after, in a small, intimate ceremony surrounded by our closest friends, family, and neighbors. The day was filled with warmth and joy, the kind of happiness that lingers long after the sun has set. I remember the gentle breeze that rustled the leaves, carrying the scent of fresh earth and blooming flowers, as if the farm itself was celebrating with us. Tunde stood beside me, his hand in mine, and in that moment, I felt a quiet certainty that I had chosen the right partner for life. There were no grand halls or expensive decorations, just laughter, music, and the genuine love of everyone present. It was perfect, just like us. After the wedding, life settled into a rhythm that was both busy and beautiful. The farm, which had once been my quiet sanctuary of hard work and solitude, now felt alive with laughter, love, and hope. Tunde and I worked side by side, planting seeds, tending the soil, and harvesting our crops. Our child, curious and energetic, ran between the rows of maize, their laughter echoing through the fields like a song. Each day brought small joys: a first step, a new sprout in the soil, a shared meal prepared under the open sky. The farm became more than a source of income, it became the heart of our family, a place where memories were created, and love grew as abundantly as the crops. Life, of course, was not without its challenges. There were storms that threatened our carefully tended fields, turning fertile soil into mud and sending our dreams tumbling with the rain. There were seasons when illnesses struck, leaving one of us bedridden while the other struggled to carry on with the daily work. Exhaustion sometimes pressed down on us like the weight of the midday sun, making us doubt ourselves, our choices, and even the strength of our love. Yet, through it all, Tunde and I had each other. We laughed together when mistakes were made, cried together when despair loomed, and celebrated every small victory: the first green shoots in a row of seeds, a bountiful harvest, or a night of peaceful sleep after a long day. Farming, which had once been my solitary passion, became a shared journey, a labor of love that united us even more deeply. As years passed, our farm flourished in ways I had only dreamed of. The fields grew richer, the harvests more bountiful, and our home became a haven of warmth and laughter. Our child grew healthy and strong, learning from the land as I had, asking endless questions about seeds, soil, and the life cycles of plants and animals. Tunde and I watched with pride as our child's small hands learned to plant alongside ours, as their eyes lit up with curiosity and wonder at the world around them. Each day, our family became more intertwined with the life of the farm, as if the land itself were part of our story. In the evenings, we often sat together on the porch, the fading light casting long shadows over the fields. Tunde would rest his hand on mine, and our child would curl up at our feet, tired but happy from a day of play and learning. We would watch the tall grass sway gently in the wind, the sun casting golden hues over the horizon, and I would feel a deep sense of gratitude for the unexpected twist of fate that had brought Tunde into my life. From a single visit at the edge of my farm to the family we had become, I realized that life's surprises, even the ones that start quietly, can transform everything in the most beautiful ways. I often thought about how different my life could have been, how lonely the farm might have remained, how ordinary my days could have been without Tunde and our child. But instead, I was living a life richer than I had ever imagined, a life where work, love, and family intertwined seamlessly. The farm was no longer just a place of labor, it had become the heart of our family, a symbol of growth, resilience, and the unexpected beauty of life. And as I watched Tunde smile at our child, his eyes reflecting the fading sunlight and the warmth of his love, I knew that every storm, every challenge, and every long day of toil had been worth it, because it led to this, our life together, full of laughter, hope, and the quiet satisfaction of shared dreams. Looking back, I realize that the day Tunde first visited my farm changed the course of my life in ways I could never have imagined. At that moment, I had no idea that a single visit, a simple conversation by the edge of my maize fields, would set into motion a chain of events that would transform my world completely. Love, I now understand, often arrives when you least expect it, quiet, unassuming, yet powerful enough to overturn all your carefully laid plans. I had never thought of Tunde in that way before, just as I never imagined that a neighbor I exchanged polite greetings with would become the man I could trust with my heart, the father of my child, and the person I would laugh and cry with for the rest of my life. Life had surprised me, yes, but in that surprise, I discovered a depth of happiness I had never even known existed. Farming had taught me lessons I carried every day. It had shown me the value of patience, as I waited for seeds to sprout and crops to grow. It had taught me perseverance, as I faced scorching sun, stubborn soil, and unexpected storms. It had taught me that hard work, when done with love and care, bore fruit in the most satisfying ways. But love, true love, taught me a different kind of lesson. It taught me vulnerability, the courage to let someone see my fears and hopes, my strengths and weaknesses. It taught me trust, the belief that someone could care for me, not just for a moment, but for a lifetime. It taught me joy in ways farming never could, because this joy was shared, multiplied, and carried in small everyday moments. The way Tunde smiled when he saw me laugh, the way he held my hand while we walked through the fields, the way he whispered words of reassurance during long nights when I worried about the future. Together, farming and love created a life richer and more beautiful than I had ever dared to dream. And it all began with a simple visit, a knock at my gate, a shy confession, and the willingness to open my heart. That moment of curiosity and courage changed everything. It reminded me that life is not only about plans and routines, it is also about risks, about allowing the unexpected to enter your world and trusting that it can bring something wonderful. The love I found with Tunde did not replace my life on the farm, it complemented it. It made my work more meaningful, my days brighter, and my nights warmer. Now, as I stand in my fields, feeling the soft soil beneath my feet, I watch Tunde and our child working alongside me. The sunlight glimmers on their faces, and I feel a surge of gratitude that fills my chest so completely it almost aches. Our child's laughter rings out across the fields, a sound more precious to me than any crop or harvest could ever be. Tunde bends to lift a heavy sack of seeds, and I see in his steady hands and determined eyes the same man who once shyly confessed his love to me. Life is unpredictable, full of twists and turns that can leave you breathless and uncertain, but it is also full of magic, the kind of magic that arrives quietly, unnoticed, until one day it is suddenly all around you. My farm, my love, and my family are now my greatest treasures, each one shaping and grounding the other. And when I pause to take it all in, the fields that stretch far and wide, the man who stands beside me, the child who runs freely in the sun, I know, with a certainty that no storm or struggle could ever shake, that I would not trade a single moment of this journey for anything in the world. Every drop of sweat in the fields, every anxious night, every quiet morning, and every laugh shared with Tunde and our child has led to this, an ordinary life made extraordinary by love, hard work, and the unexpected surprises that make life truly worth living.